Hello, everybody. Welcome back to New York Talk. This is the Scout Report, and it's time to look ahead to Luton Town on Saturday afternoon. We have Lewis joining us to give us the rundown on all things Luton. How is it going, mate?
A lot better now we beat top of the league, that's for sure. So hopefully we can get the 3 points this weekend.
Yeah, well, beating top of the league will put a smile on anybody's face, I think. Let's take it back to the start of the season. Obviously, it was a double relegation, so you're still benefiting from the parachute payments. I assume the vibe, although it's negative, you got relegated. I assume the vibe was very positive that this season should have been, or felt like it was going to be a very, very good season for you guys.
Yeah, lots of pressure, that's for sure, and expectation to kind of win the league because of the parachute payments and also the squad which we've got. When you compare that to other teams, we do have good players. It's not arrogance, it's just stating facts that, we've still got players that I would say could definitely still play in the championship. So, yeah, lots of expectation, but unfortunately, when expectation happens at Luton, we don't quite fulfill our potential and deal with that as well as we could do. And that's why you've seen a change manager and also us not in the playoffs at this moment in time.
Yeah, absolutely. Matt Bloomfield, obviously, when he was appointed, I think everybody who knew anything about football thought that's a good appointment. That makes sense. He did a good job at Wycombe. He's ready for the step up, and you guys felt like you were in a reasonable place to push on. The simple question, I suppose, is what went wrong for him?
Well, he didn't do himself any favours by not winning his first 8 games in charge of Luton. I think straight away he didn't achieve the first objective, which was to keep us up in the championship. He had more than enough time to try and do it. I think he just overcomplicated everything he wanted to do. I feel like he just kept making just silly football decisions that were costing him his job. I don't know if he was doubting himself or if he didn't have the right support around him, but I think at times it was just keep making the wrong football decisions. And there were times where we would look at his starting 11 and think, why has he played X player in that position? And it's just a lot of things just didn't really make sense. But you thought, right, look, it's not his squad really. Let him have a pre-season, let him have his own players and see what happens there. But then we had an injury crisis at the start of the season, which didn't help. And even with an injury crisis, he was still struggling in making consistent football decisions. Pre-season, we started playing one way, and then when the season started, we switched to another. There was just no consistency, and I think the players really just found it difficult to understand the message which they want, which the coaching staff were actually displaying to them. And yeah, we were just getting every time we were coming up against a team that were organised, well drilled, knew their roles. We just kept getting folded by these teams, and we were beating some teams, but we just weren't beating them in a convincing way. Now we've got Wilshire in charge. It feels like he's just made everything, simple again. And we feel like we've turned a corner here, and hopefully this continues.
Oh, yeah, so we'll move on to Wilshire. I was going to say, when Matt Hamshaw came in, he benefited by not being Steve Evans and just simplifying everything. It sounds like it's a similar situation. Wilshire is not the previous manager, and it sounds like he's taken a pressure off the players by the sounds of it, maybe.
Well, I think he's just told the players that you are good. I think it's quite weird confidence with footballers because I think if you have the confidence and you've got the right togetherness, I think you can achieve anything. Even if you're just an average team in a division, if you've got that togetherness and you believe in the idea, the project, you can kind of achieve above expectation. But then when there's so much pressure from the fans that even if you make a bad pass, there's people like moaning and booing in the stadium. That can kind of get you down. And I think for a lot of the players, they just didn't have the right mentality to kind of deal with the noise off the pitch and just focus on the task on the pitch.
Yeah. So has Wilshire done anything different, or is it just simply you are very, very good players, kind of express yourself a little bit more?
He's made things a little bit more. I think he's made things simple. I think he's playing players in their correct position. He's also, I think, he has changed the formation. We are playing. We've been playing at 4 at the back. We played a 4-2-3-1 formation in a lot of our games. To be fair with Wilshire, he's had a lot of players return back, a lot of key players, which has helped. So he's had Al Hamadi, obviously a former Rotherham player, in Hakeim Adoffin's come back. We've had also Isaiah Jones, who's probably one of the best right wing backs, right wingers in this league. So he's had a little bit of luck in terms of the right players coming back, which has helped us and helped us become a lot stronger. And the players that were injured actually haven't played so far this year. So they've actually felt like new signings, and they've completely changed like the atmosphere within the dressing room. There's now competition for places. So I think everyone's game has kind of gone up a bit. And of course, when you've got a new manager, that kind of raises your game as well, because you want to be in the starting 11.
Yeah, absolutely. Just before I ask you about a couple of more individual players, I just want to ask you about Thomas Holmes, who obviously we've got on loan. He obviously won't play at the weekend because he's on loan from you guys. What's your view on his kind of Luton future? He's only played one game for us and he was bloody brilliant. With a change of mind, it's maybe difficult to answer, but could you see him having a future back at your club, or will he end up somewhere else?
No, I don't see him having a future at Luton. I think if we're going to continue playing a back four, we've kind of got too many centre backs at the football club. I also don't think he suits the way Jack Wilshire wants to play. He wants to control possession, and Tom Holmes isn't really. Yeah. I don't think a ball playing centre half. He's more of a no nonsense type of centre half. He'll lump it forward, clear the danger. He will head everything in the air, throw his body on the line. He isn't that type of centre half, which I would class as the more modern day centre half where they've got to do a bit of everything. He doesn't really have that about his game. And to be fair to Tom Holmes, I feel like the signing just hasn't worked out. We signed him when we were in the Premier League, and it just feels like it never really made sense why we did it, because he doesn't have the potential to be a Premier League defender. I think he can be a top half, League One player, but whether or not he can be beyond that, I'm not too sure.
Yeah. That's fair enough. We'll wait to see more of him. Unless he's only played one game so far. Let's talk about the former Millers. You've had mentioned Hakeim Adoffin. He's loved still by all the Rotherham fans. He's had injury problems. Has he even started a game for you guys yet?
So he has started in the cup. He did and done well. He's done well every time he's played. He's the last couple of games. He's basically been coming on the last 10 minutes to help us just make sure that we keep the clean sheet, and also help us get the 3 points. On his debut, he cleared one off the line. Literally, it was going in. Good finish. Well, it was a nice finish by the Northampton striker, but Hakeim out of nowhere just does a last minute challenge clearance off the line to make sure that we do take the 3 points away at Northampton. But I've been told so many good things about him. What he's like as a leader, his character. And yeah, he's just what he is like in the dressing room. Apparently, he's like a breath of fresh air. He's that type of person. And I think with him, I'm just looking forward to seeing what else he can do. I actually think he's going to start on Saturday. And I think he's going to start in midfield, potentially, because we do have a couple of midfielders missing for this game on the weekend due to international call-ups. We've got Nakamba and Saville, more defensive-minded midfielders, not playing on Saturday. So I feel like Hakeim Adoffin might be one of the names in the starting 11 playing in that more defensive midfielder role.
I can see that. Yeah, I love Haxus. For me, is a better midfielder than a defender. If you give him that license to go run around a bit and make chaos, he'll just make chaos in the attacking side. So I hope he doesn't play there. And then Cohen Braml, one that won't be remembered fondly by Rotherham fans, particularly. I saw the goal he scored, and I'll tell you now, he tried that hundreds of times, it feels like, for us, and didn't get anywhere near the goal. How's he been in general, first of all, I suppose, is my question.
Funny enough, you're not the only person that has said that to me. And I mean, like, from another fan base. This is the thing. When we signed him, I asked a couple of people. I asked a Portsmouth fan, I asked you, and I asked a Lincoln fan. And all three of you gave me this similar answer. And I'm thinking, why have we signed Cohen Braml? And this was the guy that was meant to replace Alfie Doughty, who was such a good player for us and he's championship quality. It just didn't make any sense. But to be fair to Braml, now he's got up to match sharpness, he's actually done all right. I think attacking wise, he's really good. I think that's where his strengths are. But in terms of defensively, he is not a good defender. I think 1v1, it's a bit frustrating because he's got the pace. So he doesn't need to dive into challenges, yet he still dives into the challenges and gets himself booked. But I feel like in a Luton shirt so far, he's actually been all right. He scored two very good free kicks, the one on the weekend against Stockport. He also scored a better one at home against Barnet. But yeah, the free kicks, it's fun. I find it funny, like all the posts on social media, people going like, he tried this so many times with us and didn't score it. He must have been practicing, in off season.
Yeah, exactly. I think he might have played with Wilshire as well at Arsenal, or they were around similar times probably as well.
But
When he first signed him.
Wilshire knew him.
Okay.
I think he was because Arsene Wenger signed him. So yeah, Wilshire was training with the first team, and I think they knew each other. Then.
Okay, cool. So it'll be interesting to see if it takes off any further with the new manager. Let's finish on how you think the game's going to go, and let's finish then with your score prediction for Saturday, please.
So, the thing is, if you guys come and play and try and win, and play a bit of attacking football, I see that benefiting us more than you guys. But if you sit back, put 11 players behind the ball, become really difficult to break down, that's where we struggle. At the moment, we haven't had a very class home performance, I would say. So the performance which we performed at Stockport away, we've done that a couple of times away from home, but we've not been able to do that at home yet. So that's the biggest pressure. Can we start doing it at home? But if you put 11 players behind the ball, we struggle against teams that do that. So it's figuring out a way to break you guys down. But if you do play, that's when we'll have our luxury because there's space for us to exploit, and we do have the quality to exploit that space. But yeah, it all really depends what type of mentality and approach you guys, come into this game. I can see you guys happily taking a point, and that for me is where we'll struggle.
Fair enough. What would be your score prediction for Saturday if you had to guess right now, several days ahead?
I feel like if just don't lose. We need to just go on a run. I think we need to go on this unbeaten run and just try and go as long as possible without losing, because I think it would give everyone a lift. I think if we could replicate a performance like we did against Stockport, that would give us so much confidence going into the game against Barnsley, Bolton and Huddersfield, which we've got after you guys. Those 3 games are going to be tough. So I want to say 2-1, but we only win when we keep a clean sheet at the moment, and that's got to change soon. That has to change because we're not always going to win by keeping a clean sheet. And also, I want us to be able to win when we also concede. So if we do concede the first goal, still be able to come back from 1-0 down and be able to win. So there's a few tick boxes which I would like us to get sooner rather than later, because I don't know how we're going to deal with it. So I'm going to go with 2-1. I feel confident, especially after the win against Stockport. If we lose, it just feels like that win against Stockport was it just damages how important that win was.
Yeah. No, I get that completely. But football's one of those things that you beat top at league away, and then next week you play mid-table and don't win. Football's one of those kicking the guts kind of things. Thank you very much. We will put the show in the link to Lewis's channel in the show notes. Please do check him out for more Luton content. That was last week. Thank you everybody for watching. We will see everybody next time. And as always, up the Millers.